I am live. What's going on, people? Manny Pacquiao versus Timothy Bradley 2. The fight was last night, and I slept on this fight, man. After watching the fight last night, you guys know I usually come on here right after the fight, give my commentary, give my post-fight commentary, but I decided to sleep on this one, do it in the morning because I disagreed with a lot of the commentary that went on last night. Just a disclaimer. I had Bradley winning the fight 115-113, but we'll talk about that further in a couple minutes. Before I get into the whole scoring thing, because I'm sure it'll get people heated like it was last night, I want to give credit to both of these guys, the ultimate respect and credit. What went down last night between these two guys in the ring, leave the scoring out, leave all the bad commentating out. These guys, I mean, what they did in the ring last night was beautiful. High-speed chess. And these two guys really exemplify what boxing should be about. If you look at their resume with Manny Pacquiao, to fight Morales 3 times, to fight Barrera 2 times, to fight Marquez 4 times, to fight Bradley twice. And in between that, to fight De La Hoya, Hatton, Clottey, Mosley, Cotto. I mean, goodness gracious, is there anybody in the sport in recent history who has a resume like that? Is there anybody in the sport in recent history who has taken on all comers like that? I mean, you could throw out names like Carl Froch, Abner Morris, Timothy Bradley. But besides that, Manny Pacquiao, in my opinion, has the best resume we've seen in boxing in quite some time. And I want to give him that credit. I want to give him credit for being 35 years old, 60-something fights in, taking on an elite fighter in Timothy Bradley, being down halfway through the fight, in my opinion, and winning the fight on the judges' scorecards, winning the fight on a lot of people's scorecards. You got to give him credit, man. To be 35 years old, losing a step or two, and to fight a guy like Timothy Bradley in his prime, hungry, and do that, to be capable of that, it's just an all-time great, and all of my respect to Manny Pacquiao. Even though I had him losing this fight on my scorecard, all of my respect. Timothy Bradley, the same thing. You can pull up his resume. I got it right here. Manny Pacquiao twice. Marquez, Provodnikov, Alexander, Peterson, Holt, Witter. This guy's taking on all comers. So he's right. I mean, he's another one. He's cut from the Pacquiao cloth to where he's going to fight anybody. And, it's just amazing what these guys have done to the sport, and they deserve our respect. A lot of people out there are ducking and dodging fighters, not giving the fans the fights they want to see, and these two guys deserve that credit. Unbelievable stuff, and a great fight last night. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I enjoyed every round of it. Just fun stuff. Fun fight, in my opinion. More aesthetically pleasing than the first fight. Just fun stuff. As far as the fight goes, Bradley was doing a lot of good things in the first half of the fight. Pacquiao, the same thing in the second half of the fight. Pacquiao really started to come on strong. You got to give Pacquiao credit. A lot of people were saying Bradley was abandoning the game plan, and Bradley was doing a lot of good things early in the fight to where he was, once again, rolling with a lot of Pacquiao's punches. Pacquiao's punches looked flashy, and a lot of people got fooled by that, again, in the first half of the fight. But he was missing with those punches. Bradley was doing a great job of slipping those punches. And what he was doing well effectively in the first half of the fight was going to the body. He was going to Pacquiao's body, really hurting him to the body, slowing Pacquiao down with his legs. And in the second half of the fight, he abandoned that. He abandoned that because of what Pacquiao was doing. Pacquiao was really starting to ramp things up, get more active, and that really started to affect Bradley to where, when guys are drug into deep water, they start to forget the game plan and can't execute the game plan. And that's what happened. You can say, yeah, Bradley abandoned the game plan, but that was because of Pacquiao. Pacquiao did a hell of a job of ramping things up. Pacquiao's timing is impeccable, man. People don't give him credit for that. Does a good job of setting up the left hand with his right hand. He'll feint with it. He'll throw this punch to where it looks like a jab is coming out, but it's really a little cross that comes on this side, on the side of the face. Very good job of shading some of his punches with his right hand, but it's all to set up the left hand. He'll blind you with the right hand and then come with the left. So once again, Pacquiao did a good job of that. As far as the scoring goes, you know, I could see it 116, 112 either way. Anytime you deviate away from that, though, is where I have a problem. And that's where I had a problem with a lot of the commentary last night. I watched the Box Nation fight right here on my computer. Box Nation commentators were dreadful. I mean, they were worse than the HBO commentators in the first fight. That's how biased they were towards Manny Pacquiao. I mean, I don't know if anybody else caught the Box Nation link. Mario Lopez was calling the fight. When you have a child actor calling a boxing match and he has nothing to do with boxing, that's an embarrassment to the sport. It's an embarrassment to the sport. Mario Lopez, AC Slater was calling the fight with Larry Merchant. And Larry Merchant was especially horrible last night. They were giving Bradley no credit. In my opinion, if you had Pacquiao winning the majority of the rounds in the first half of the fight, you're blind. You know, I saw people on Twitter having the fight 4 rounds to 2. Shut up. Stop. I'm yelling at my dog real quick. If you had it 4 rounds to 2. Hold on. Stop. If you had the scorecards 4 rounds to 2 in the first 6 rounds of the fight, then that's a problem. That's a problem for Pacquiao. I just didn't see it. And that's how the Box Nation commentators were. Mario Lopez had Pacquiao winning 10 rounds. Larry Merchant had Manny Pacquiao winning 10 rounds, 118 to 110. How could you watch that fight and see it 118, 110 for Pacquiao and only give 2 rounds for Bradley? How? You know, I could see 116, 112, and here's my reasoning with that. You know, I had Bradley winning 5 of the first 6 rounds, and I had him barely eking out 2 of the last 6 rounds. I had him barely eking out 8 and 11, and 12 was close. I had Pacquiao winning 12. I gave him the benefit of the doubt in the 12th round. I felt he was more active, went after it. Bradley was really trying to yuck it up. Even though he was throwing punches back, I gave Pacquiao the benefit of the doubt in 12. I also gave Bradley round 3, and that was the round where Pacquiao was more active, but he was missing with a lot of punches, and Bradley was landing punches, so I gave Bradley round 3. But you can argue, you can make the argument that Pacquiao, if you gave him the benefit of the doubt, you can give him 2, 3, 8, 11, and 12 in all those close rounds. The other rounds he won clearly, so you could argue that 116, 112 for Pacquiao. I could see that. I had no problem with those 2 judges' scorecards. I could see to where you could have the lane to give Pacquiao 116, 112. And I could see it the other way. If you gave Bradley the benefit of the doubt in those rounds, which I didn't give him the benefit of the doubt in 12, I had it 115, 113 for Bradley because I had him winning round 3. I had him winning round 8 barely and round 11 barely. That's how I came out with 115, 113. But if you gave Bradley the benefit of the doubt in those 5 close rounds, you could have 116, 112 for Bradley. I wouldn't argue that, but I had a 115, 113 for Bradley. I just thought he did a. It's hard if you don't know what you're looking at. I'm not saying people who had Pacquiao winning don't know what they're looking at, but I feel like Pacquiao gets the benefit of the doubt in these rounds because his punches look more flashy, even when they don't land. And those punches that people were getting fooled at by, especially in the first half of the fight, were not landing. They were flashy, but a lot of them were hitting air, a lot of them were hitting the mitts, and you know, I thought Bradley did a hell of a job in the first half of the fight with his defense. But Pacquiao, in the second half of the fight, the rounds that he was winning big. I mean, he was winning clear. And I think that's where people got a full. And here's one thing I noticed too, what boxing experts were doing last night, and how people get fooled. And I really noticed it last night. I've noticed it in fights before, but I really noticed it last night because I wanted to pay attention to this because I knew it was going to be a close fight that was going to go to the scorecards. And if these guys fought 10 times, it would be the same thing every time, in my opinion. Close fight is going to go to the scorecards. What boxing experts do, and fans do it all the time, I noticed that, but I noticed with a few boxing experts last night who were at the fight, covering the fight, what they'll do is when a guy wins a round clearly, they'll announce it on Twitter. They'll be like 10-9 Bradley. He clearly won round 1. 19-19. Pacquiao clearly won round 2. But when there's a close round that could go either way, they won't announce their score. You know, they'll all of a sudden be really vague. They'll be like, very, very active round, very good round, entertaining, and they won't announce the score. And then when you start getting wide rounds again, like round 7, clearly a Pacquiao round, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden they'll announce their score. So I noticed what they'll do is I think they'll copy and paste another person or what everybody else is saying, and then all of a sudden start announcing their score again in round 7. You know, I noticed that again last night. There's no transparency there. To me, you should announce your scorecard every round. That way there's transparency. Because if you don't do that, obviously you can change your scorecard at any time. Another thing, the 10-point must system, I think it's the best system in combat sports. However, it is flawed in that I came away from the fight last night thinking, you know, if I wanted to be one fighter, I think I would have picked Manny Pacquiao because the rounds he won, he clearly won. So I came away with it saying, you know, I think Pacquiao's a little bit better of a fighter. Even though Bradley, in my opinion, won more rounds, I felt the rounds Pacquiao won, he was more effective with. In other words, to give an example, fighter A can win round 1 and be up 10-9. Fighter B can win round 1 and win it 10-9, and it'd be 19-19. But fighter B could win round 2 a lot more effectively than fighter A won round 1, but it's still a tie. So I think that's what we got last night too, and I think people who weren't scoring the fight were saying, "Oh, Pacquiao clearly won the fight," when not particularly the case. I did think that Bradley won more of the rounds. So I had Bradley winning the fight 115-113. Am I crazy? So I don't see it. A lot of people I know had Pacquiao win a close fight. Most people had it 115-113. The people that I trust, I have 6 or 7 people that I really trust who I text back and forth with, group text during fights, and all of us had it 115-113 either way. 2 of us had it for Bradley. 4 or 5 had it for Pacquiao 115-113, but none of us deviated from that 115-113. And that's how I felt this fight was, very close on the scorecards. However, when you have something like what the Box Nation commentators were doing last night with their scorecards and a 118-110 scorecard, and that's how I know there's clearly a bias towards Pacquiao where people give him the benefit of the doubt, is no one was complaining on Twitter about that 118-110 scorecard last night. How could you watch that fight and give 10 rounds to either fighter? Especially with what Bradley was doing in the first half of the fight. How could you give 10 rounds to Manny Pacquiao? Unbelievable. So I thought Bradley won the fight, but once again, let me finish with how I started. Despite what you had in the scorecards, despite that, these guys' resume is impeccable, and especially Manny Pacquiao deserves that credit. His resume, dude. Morales 3 times, Barrera twice, Marquez 4 times, Bradley twice. I mean, Clottey, Mosley, De La Hoya, Hatton, Cotto. Goodness gracious, this guy's fought everybody. And that's what boxing should be about, and people are going to miss Pacquiao when he's gone. Exciting fighter who fights everybody, except for Floyd Mayweather. And that's both of their fights, in my opinion. For the life of me, I don't know how they screwed that up. The 2 best fighters of our generation in the same weight class in their prime at the same time didn't fight each other. Amazing. Amazing. And if I'm Floyd Mayweather, if he's smart, I watched that fight last night and I jump on a Pacquiao fight. Because as impressed as I was with Manny Pacquiao, even he has lost a step or 2, and I'm more convinced than ever now that Floyd Mayweather will wipe the floor with him in a fight. But Floyd Mayweather's too much of a dickhead to jump at that fight. Too much of a dickhead. So it is what it is. I had Bradley winning a close decision, but I thought it was a close fight that could have gone either way, and most people had Pacquiao winning the fight, which I'm fine with, as long as you had it close. So hit me up. Let me know how y'all had the fight scored and how y'all enjoyed it. I was impressed with both fighters. Both fighters did elite things once again in the ring last night. I wouldn't mind seeing a third fight. they can't set up anything else with Pacquiao, I wouldn't mind seeing a third fight. So hit me up. Let me know what y'all thought. Peace.